Welcome to the Pengafolder podcast with your host, Nana and Emily. They invest remotely in the UK and live in Sweden. In this podcast, they will be interviewing interesting guests that all invest in the UK property market.
Hi, and welcome to Pengaflood podcast. And today I have Sarah. How are you doing, Sarah?
I'm very well, thank you, and thank you for having me on.
Thank you for joining. So I heard this is your first time podcasting, being a guest.
It is, so I'm very nervous.
Oh, you shouldn't. I'll be nice to you. I promise.
Thank you.
So, could you please tell us a little bit about your background and how you got started in the property industry?
Okay, yeah. So I first got started in property in 2000, year 2000, where I joined a new build construction company. I actually bought our residential property on this site, and a job came available, and I took the job. So I worked there probably about a year, obviously in the sales side of it, but I love new build properties, going around looking at the different new build properties. So I started there. From there, I then went to work in an estate agent. So I started off as a sales negotiator, moved my way up to a lettings manager, and also to a valuations manager, which the valuation side of it I really loved, because going out into other people's houses, having a bit of a nosy. I found that quite interesting. Obviously, there's some lovely properties and not so lovely properties, but I did find that really interesting. And I worked there probably for about 4 years. And from here, this is where I really got into the investment side of it. Because I could see people coming up from London, buying properties in our area, renting them out. At the time, I was only 20, so I wasn't sure about buy-to-let or things like that. But speaking to local investors made me think, well, yeah, this is what I want to do. And that's where I got into property from there then. What we did was, obviously, we didn't have a great lot of money at the time. So we actually remortgaged our own residential property. We said we wanted the money out to put a new kitchen in, do a bit of refurb on it, even though it was a new house. We said this to the lender. From here, we took out 25,000, and we used this to go buy our first property, which was a BRRR, so buy, refurbish, refinance. Property. Now, this property we bought with JV partners. So we put the property that we bought was a 3-bedroom semi. We bought it for 40,000. It was run down and it needed a lot of work. Obviously, a full refurb. So your damp course, your electrics, gas, kitchen, bathroom, everything. We also put off-road parking. So at the front there was no off-road parking. So we had the curb dropped for off-road parking. We spent on this about 20,000, but we sold it for 100,000, which that has enabled me then to go on to buy my other properties. That one was a JV, so from there we then went alone and bought other properties. So my first property that we actually bought by ourselves, which was myself and my husband, was in 2003. That was a 2-bedroom terrace property. Again, needed a full refurb. We spent about £20,000 on it, but we only bought that property for 19,500. We used that as a buy-to-let, and I've still got that property today. And it's a really good buy-to-let. We make about $550 a month, and it's probably worth about 100,000 now. So obviously, they say you buy a property for the long run, and they go up in capital appreciation. And this one has. So that's where my journey started, really. We just kept going from there. Over 4 years, we actually bought 45 properties, which we've done on the buy, refurb, refinance, which was really good. And then things changed.
So could you explain to me how, for people that are maybe either young that didn't know how the system worked pre-08, like how was the lending? How could you get lending? Was it easier than compared to now, like loan to value and etc.? Could you please explain that or elaborate?
Yeah, so obviously back then it was a lot easier to get a buy-to-let mortgage. your deposit that you would put down was probably 10%. So obviously in my area, which is Stoke-on-Trent, house prices are a lot cheaper. So, for example, you buy a property for 40,000, you'd be only putting £4,000 deposit down. So it was a lot easier back then compared to now, where you've got to put your 25% down. So for us, I think that's the reason why we were able to push and grow quite quickly over that 4 years of buying those properties. So yeah, it was a lot easier back then. Saying that, it's a lot easier. We had no internet back then. So we used to have to go around to all the estate agents, get to know the estate agents, look in the windows of what properties were available. And we used to have to wait for the paper to come out, a weekly paper where they used to advertise the properties. That's the only way that we could actually, find a property. Unlike today, where you've got the internet and you just go on the internet looking for your properties.
So let's say that was a good explanation, etc. But if you would choose getting the finance easier and no internet like now, which one would you choose?
Definitely now. It's so much easier now. Just going, even though I go into the local estate agents now, you build rapport with the estate agents anyway. It's so much easier just going on the internet and having a look. But obviously for now, for us, we try to get direct to vendor as well. So
yeah,
and the internet obviously helps with that. So I would say now, definitely.
Okay. So you mentioned you guys, you and your husband, you went very hard 4 years, and then you took a break from property industry. Why did you take the break?
Well, before we actually took the break, we actually bought abroad. Mm-hmm. So we went off and bought 2 properties in Cyprus and 2 in Portugal, thinking, we won't put all his eggs in one basket. We'll broaden his horizon and go further afield. I think that was a little bit too far, though. So for us, we had a bit of a nightmare with those properties. We bought from what we thought was a reputable company. They had their own Sky channel, they had their own magazine. We thought everything was great. The 2 properties that we've got in Cyprus, we've still got, and they are lovely properties. The ones that we had in Portugal, we've no longer got. They were a nightmare and we lost money on them. In the end, we had to take the developer to court and the solicitor to court.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. It was all a big scam. It was a big scam. It was a headache. We had a lot of anxiety over the 12 months. Basically, we had about £30,000 interest added to our account that we weren't aware of. Yeah. But in the end, like I say, it all worked out well. Obviously, we haven't got the properties in Portugal, but the 2 in Cyprus are brilliant. We go out there, obviously, every opportunity we can, but obviously we've got children, so we have to stick to school holidays, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, try to get out there 3 times a year.
Okay. So you mentioned Cyprus. Just of curiosity, is it in the North Cyprus or where is it?
It's not, no, it's South Cyprus. So it's in Pataras, which is obviously a lovely family resort. It's close to Ayia Napa. Okay. We did rent the properties out as service accommodation. It was quite challenging because obviously you're relying on somebody over there to do it for you. We did have an English couple that used to look after the apartments for us, and they were fantastic, but they unfortunately moved back to the UK. And since then, we've just found it hard trying to get the right company in to look after it for us. So we have decided now that we aren't renting them and we're just keeping them for ourselves. So
yeah,
so they're just a nice little holiday home now that we can jet off to.
Yeah, that's good as well. So what motivated you to come back to the property world?
Well, obviously we had the recession. We stopped buying when we hit obviously because of the recession. And we've done it the traditional way, where you buy a property, you refurbish, refinance, and you always leave a little bit of money in. So our money dwindled down, and because of the recession, we listened to the media we listened to the news, obviously the scare tactics, and we stopped buying. Obviously, we had the properties, and we were comfy. We didn't have to go back to work, and we just took time out to bring our family up. Which property was the reason why I actually got into property, because I wanted to have more time and freedom to spend with my family. So for us, we've been able to take the children to school, pick them up from school. We've never missed a school play or a sports day, which has been, it's been fantastic. So it's only probably the last 18 months we've actually looked at getting back into property. Now, the reason for that is, well, the kids just don't want to spend time with us now, basically. They want to be out with the mates. So they no longer want us. But no. My son, he wants to get into property, and my daughter has mentioned it as well. So hopefully we can bring them into the business, but obviously we need to grow the business now for them to join us. My son's just doing bricklaying at college, so which is great. Gives us a chance to learn. And like I said, then obviously we got back into property 18 months ago. Now, what actually happened was my husband actually watched a webinar with Kevin McDonald from Progressive Property, No Money Down. And he's talking about how you can buy property with no money. And I'm thinking, no, you can't do that. You can't buy property with no money. And it was my husband that actually dragged me off to one of his training courses to listen. And I will tell you a little secret. When I first heard Kevin, I thought, so I'll turn him off. He's so annoying. He speaks too fast. I can't understand what he's saying. But honestly, now I love him to bits.
Yeah.
It's great. He is a really lovely guy. So off we went to his No Money Down training, and I was blown away. The things that he teaches of how you can, have properties with no money, strategies that I hadn't even heard of before, obviously sisters sale, lease option, things like that. Yeah, I was blown away. So that's how we have come to get back in property, using different strategies, sister sale, lease options. I've now raised finance with investors. I've got JV partners. So I've been able, not just make money for myself, but also make money with JV partners as well, which is great.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He is. So that's interesting. So you took a break there, came back, and now you full on. So I know you have a strategy, or I don't know if you can call it strategy, but a tool in your toolbox that you use, and that I'm very, very like, wow, I've never seen someone do it in this scale like you're doing it. So you focus on tenant buyers. First of all, could you explain to the listeners what is a tenant buyer?
Yeah, so tenant buyers, it's rent to buy. So it's designed to help tenants to get on the property ladder. So rent to buy allows a tenant to rent a desired property for a fixed price for a fixed period of time, which is usually between about 5 to 7 years, with the option to purchase the property at the pre-agreed price at the end of the rental term. So they've got the option to buy the property, but they don't have the obligation to get the property, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a great strategy. It's a great strategy for both the tenant and the landlord. So for the tenants, they know that they're not going to be evicted. Obviously, when they're signing up to, they're there for the duration, 5 to 7 years. There's going to be no rent increase, so they haven't got to worry about the rent increasing every 12 months, and they get to enjoy living in their own home from day one, which is great. And if they want to do any alterations to the property, or bring it up to date or anything like that, they're welcome to do that as well. So yeah, it's a great strategy for the tenant. For the landlord, again, it's a great strategy. Obviously, there's no maintenance because the tenant does take on the maintenance when they move in. There's no voids, so it's quite hassle-free for the landlord. So yeah, it's a win-win for both, really. And also, for me personally, it's me knowing that I'm giving the tenants the opportunity to get on the property ladder, which makes you feel really good as well. The kind of tenant that you probably expect to go on to a rent to buy with somebody who is probably self-employed, who's building up their accounts. Obviously, they've got to have 3 years of accounts. Someone who's got credit history. So you've got credit problems, it sits on your account for 6 years, so it gives them a chance to clear the credit. And somebody that may just need help and saving for a deposit. I've got one of my tenant buyers can't save, and I just give them the opportunity to save. So yeah, it's a good strategy.
Yeah. So my first question is, follow-up question is, okay, so let's say, because you're selling it at the end, so basically it's like a flip in the end. Why don't you want to keep the properties, or do you think that you already have a portfolio that's generating, or why are you want to sell it?
Yeah. So again, I do tenant buys, but I don't just do tenant buys. I do other things as well. So I think it's nice to have a mix in your portfolio of different options. So obviously, I've got quite a few properties, which is great because it's a legacy for my children. I'd still want to build on that, but also I don't mind selling a few as well.
Yeah.
So we don't do all tenant buyers, but we do some. Yes, yeah. And it's a great strategy going forward as well with how the market is at the moment. So
Yeah.
so that's the reason why. I mean, how tenant buyer actually works. Obviously, you agree the price with the tenant. You agree to buy it in 5 to 7 years. They pay the normal rent each month, but then they pay an option consideration fee, which then becomes like their deposit that has to go into a client account. This is used then at the end of the term when the tenant exercises the right to buy. Should they not buy, obviously they have the option to buy but not the obligation, then the consideration fee that's been saved up, they do actually lose. Or the contract is assignable, so they can sell it on as well. So yeah, it's a win-win for all.
Yeah.
But for me, it's knowing that I'm giving somebody the opportunity to get on the ladder.
Yeah, that's nice of you. So my following question is, someone who wants to start doing this, what type of tips can you give them?
So for tenant buyers, I would say a lot of people don't understand the process. So I would say get educated, or speak to people that have actually done it, and get a good solicitor that deals with purchase lease options, because not all solicitors do. That'd be my top tip.
Yeah,
Understanding buyers.
great answer. And where is all of these tenant buyers? Where do you find them, if I may ask? You don't need to say exactly the.
Yeah, no. So, well, at first I didn't think it would work in my area, so I just put an advert on Gumtree.
Okay.
I was blown away with the response that I got. So we just advertise on Gumtree and on Open Rent. So obviously that'll go onto your Rightmoves and Zoopla.
Yeah.
But for me now, I mean, I've got a list of tenant buyers. It's not tenant buyers that I'm worried about. It's for me, it's finding the deals at the moment.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I can't get enough properties for tenant buyers. So yeah, the demand is out there.
So that's a good problem to have.
It is, yes, yeah. And I suppose in a way as well, when you know you've got a tenant buyer, they can give you an idea of what sort of property that they're after as well. So you kind of can go shopping really, as long as the deal and the work, it works out well for you as well.
Yeah.
It's got to be a win-win situation. So yeah, it's going well at the moment.
Yeah. So what does the future hold for you?
Well, at the moment, I just want to grow my portfolio. Obviously, I want to help others. I've just become a mentor, which is great. So yeah, I just love helping other people as well. But yeah, the future for me, I'd like to build my portfolio, bring my children into it, and then hopefully I can jet off somewhere.
Do you have a specific destination?
Well, I've never done travelling when I was younger. We got into property quite early, so I would like to travel, do a little bit of travelling, and see see places.
Yeah.
Before I get too old.
You definitely should. You definitely should. So, a following question regarding the future. What do you think about the market?
Oh, at the moment, well, it's worrying and it's uncertain times for both homeowners and landlords. Cost of living and interest rates going up. I know, especially for landlords, if you're on variable rate, the interests have gone up quite a lot. And I suppose for people coming off like the fixed deals as well, for homeowners and landlords, you've got to go on to a new rate, which are considerably high at the moment. So yeah, I think there's some worrying times ahead. But obviously, for me and obviously other investors who have been educated, we go in and we speak to the vendors or landlords, and we find out what their problem is. So it's not just straight into this is what I'm offering. We find out what the problem is, and we work with them to make it a win-win situation. If I could help somebody, stop a repossession, before it went through, that's great, because obviously the anxiety they must be going through, it'd be awful. If I could go in there beforehand and help stop something like that, then great. But yeah, I think there's worrying times. I think house prices are going to come down, but over time, like they say, they will go back up as well.
Yeah. Have you seen that in your area? That
Yes. Although in our area, house price, it is still really busy at the moment. I was in the estate agents the other day, and they're saying that they're still really busy. They have probably dropped about 5%.
Yeah.
I would say roughly in this area. So yeah, you can see that they're coming down, but they are still selling.
Yeah. Okay.
So certain types of properties as well. So, but yeah, they are still selling.
And I guess the rental demand is really high as well, right?
Yeah. Rental demand is crazy. I mean, rents have gone up. There's just not enough properties for people that are looking to rent at the moment.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
Yeah, of course. It's a shame. It's a shame. But it's good that we have landlords and landladies like you who try to help people both rent and get on the property ladder.
Yes, that's it. Yes, yeah. I've got some tenants who are my tenants now, that looking to do the tenant buyer. So yeah, it is. It's a great way to help somebody.
Yeah. So you mentioned mentor, but if you could have a mentor, anyone, like if that's like, let's say it's unlimited, you have unlimited money, who would you have as a mentor?
Oh, probably. Well, obviously Kevin, because he is my mentor now, anyway. But I would say Rob Moore.
Yeah.
Rob Moore, Mark Omer.
Okay.
I would say them as well, because of having worked down there and being around that environment, they have so much knowledge, and already I've learned so much from them. So I'm grateful for that. So yeah, I would say them definitely. You've helped me get back into the market. So yeah, definitely them.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Interesting. Kevin, don't get mad.
No, I did still say Kevin.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, like I say, they've helped me expand my portfolio.
Yeah.
And it's just learning different strategies, how you can help people get out of difficult situations.
What are your top 3 favorite books and why?
Oh, obviously it's got to be the No Money Down, Kevin McDonald book. All his different strategies. Obviously your sister's sale, lease option, rent to rent. It goes through all of them, which it's obviously can be no money down, but you can leave some money in as well. So, but yeah, that's one of my favourite books. Another one is Rich Dad Poor Dad. So I'd say anybody thinking of getting into property is worth a read. So again, it's about different assets and liabilities. Obviously, the asset is your house. The liability could be a car, and it's about delaying gratification as well. So yeah, that's another one. And also the E-Myth as well. So that talks about scaling your business, working on your business and not in your business. So yeah, I'd say they're my top 3.
Okay. I've read all of them, and yeah, they're good.
Have you?
Yeah,
Yes,
they're good.
Have you got any recommendations for me?
Ooh, property wise or property
Yeah.
property wise, I suggest you read. Obviously, I think you already know this, but I think it's a really, really good book. And the name of the book is Richard Brown, The Property Finance. I think it is.
Oh no, I've not read that one. I shall put that one on my list. I've just actually finished a book called Profit First. Well, I'm still in the process for reading it actually.
Oh no, this is the name of it. The Complete Guide to Property Finance. Toolbox of 50 financing solution beyond buy-to-let.
Okay. I'll have a look at that one.
And then as well, if you want to know more about planning and why you maybe sometimes get rejected and how you should mitigate it, How to Get Planning is good as well. That's a really good book because it's done by a planning officer. So he tells you literally what you should do, like how to not get no and etc. And if you get a no, how you can resolve it to turning it into a yes.
Yes, yeah. Oh, that can go on my list.
Yeah, keep in touch and tell me how you if they were good or bad.
Yeah. I don't read a lot. I have Audible, so I listen to a lot of the books, especially obviously, when I'm driving up and down. So yeah, it's
Yeah, I don't know if they're on Audible, to be honest, but yeah, you can try. You can always search and see.
I'll give them a go.
So Sarah, do you have anything you want to say to the listeners before we round it up?
Yeah, if you're looking to get into property, now is a great time to get into property. I would say though, get educated and network. That's something that I didn't do, and that's one of my regrets really. But now, I've got educated and a network. I go to a lot of network meetings and I meet some fantastic people, and that's where your investor funds get raised, JV partners. Yeah, it's great. That's one of my top tips for you. Get educated and network.
Yeah, and that's where we met, actually.
It is, yeah,
So,
it is.
so if anyone want to get in touch with you, how can they reach out? Social media, whatever. Maybe not leaving out your telephone number. I don't know.
So I'm on Facebook, obviously under Sarah Allen, or you can email me with sarah.2912@hotmail.co.uk, and then from there, obviously, if you want to have a chat, I can give you a call.
Yeah, that's great. So with that, Sarah, thank you very much for being on the podcast. I think a lot of people that didn't know about what tenant buyer was, their eyes are lit up now. Like, wow, what is this? And I think you're gonna get some messages.
Yeah, that's fine. If anyone's got any questions or they want to know more, talk about it a lot more, then yeah, just reach out. I'm happy to have a chat.
Yeah,
have a chat with everybody as well.
So I'm grateful for your time. And with that, listeners, don't be stressed. Invest. Bye.
Bye. Thank you very much. Bye.